A very warm welcome to today's edition of Money Moves. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I'm Grace Agbarago. It's Wednesday, the 18th of February. We thank you for joining us at this time on the show.
All right, let's tee off with your news now. Guinness Nigeria PLC has reported strong 18-month results to December 31, 2025, its first full cycle under Tolaram ownership. The company posted a 25.4% jump in EPS to 6.79 naira in the fourth quarter of 2025, lifting cumulative 18-month 2025 EPS to 18.79 naira, supported by modest revenue growth and expanded EBIT margins. Revenue rose 1.8% year-on-year to 136.13 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2025, driven by disciplined pricing actions and strong festive demand. Operating expenses fell 24.3% to 20.23 billion naira, helping EBIT and EBITDA margins expand to 18.6% and 21.4% respectively. Net profit climbed to 14.88 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2025, while 18-month 2025 net profit reached 41.16 billion naira. Guinness Nigeria states that the performance reflects strong discipline, efficient operations, and resilience despite a competitive operating environment. In central banking news, the Bank of Namibia, in its first meeting under new Governor Ebson Waguta, kept the policy rate unchanged at 6.50%, citing the need to maintain capital flow stability and preserve the country's currency peg. Governor Waguta noted that inflation remains modest at 2.9%, and the current policy stance supports domestic economic activity while safeguarding the Namibian dollar's link to the South African rand. Let's listen.
The MPC have decided to keep or to maintain the repo rate to protect the peg between the Namibian dollar and the South African rand. This decision also is meant to support the domestic economy. In this regard, the commercial bank are expected to keep the prime lending rate at 10%. The MPC noted that the continued appreciation of the exchange rate will help to control and contain inflation. Weaker domestic economic activity and private sector credit extension were also considered. The MPC chose to keep the repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. This decision followed a comprehensive review of the global, regional, and domestic economic developments. What do we see on a global front? Just a snapshot. Global economic growth remains steady in 2025 compared to what we have seen in 2024. And it is also projected to continue at the same pace in 2026. When we look at the inflation, the global headline inflation remain also well contained in 2025 compared to what we have seen in 2024. And it is also expected to further ease in 2026 and 2027.
In Ghana, the government has paid 10 billion cedis in interest under the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP. This marks the sixth coupon settlement and the second full cash payment without any payment in kind component, highlighting improved fiscal capacity. The payment covers cedi-denominated DDEP obligations and supports the government's debt management and fiscal consolidation strategy. In the meantime, the European Union has lifted all provisions related to potential travel bans and asset freezes on Zimbabwe following its annual review. The arms embargo remains in place and has been extended by 1 year until February 2027. The EU said it will maintain constructive engagement with Zimbabwe while continuing to monitor the remaining measures, which date back to 2002. Meanwhile, in Zambia, Chipoka Mulenga, Minister of Commerce, says Zambia's collaboration with the United Arab Emirates will go beyond the mining sector, covering trade, investment, and economic cooperation across multiple industries. Let's listen.
Zambia and the United Arab Emirates continue to strengthen bilateral relations, with cooperation already spanning sectors such as mining. Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Chipoka Mulenga, accompanied by Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stombeko Musokotwane, Minister of Technology and Science, Felix Mutati, Minister of Health, Elijah Muchima, Minister of Fisheries and Livestock, Peter Kapala, and Minister of Energy, Collins Nzovu, held bilateral talks with a high-level delegation from the United Arab Emirates currently in the country. The UAE delegation was led by Minister of State for Foreign Trade, Dr. Ntani Aozeyodi. The discussion centered on elevating the partnership to the next level, focusing on joint ventures, expanded trade, and strategic sectoral collaboration. Speaking after the meeting, Mr. Mulenga expressed optimism that cooperation between Zambia and the UAE will extend beyond mining to other areas of economic importance.
So we strongly believe that you are a partner that we can do a lot of things with beyond the mining sector, in agriculture, in livestock, in tourism, in aviation, among many others. So from the conversations we've had here, I'm very optimistic that in the next few weeks, decisions and announcements will be made that will give both successes to our two countries.
Meanwhile, UAE Minister of State for Foreign Trade, Dr. Ntani Aozeyodi, reaffirmed his country's commitment to expanding partnerships in finance, health, logistics, technology, and renewable energy.
This is the beginning. The seriousness of the UAE's investments is going to be seen. It's not only about mining. We do have other investments in hospitality, but it's in smaller scale, done by family-owned businesses. But now we're coming with the big plan, how we can complement and do a mega partnership between both nations. Looking forward to work with you. We agreed with Excellency on the governance and the follow-up plan, which is a mechanism.
In Botswana, the Power Corporation has appointed Akinwole Omoborio as board member and vice chairman, strengthening the leadership of the country's national electricity utility. The appointment, endorsed by President Duma Boko, comes as the government pushes an ambitious reform agenda to improve operational performance, financial discipline, and power reliability. Minerals and Energy Minister Bogolo Joy Kenewendo has charged the board with positioning Botswana as a regional power exporter, while Omoborio said energy will be central to industrialization and long-term economic resilience. In other news, Djibouti, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Uganda have formally agreed to establish the Djibouti, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Uganda DESU Corridor Authority to coordinate trade, transport, and logistics across the four countries. Signed at a ministerial meeting in Djibouti, the agreement creates a regional framework to deliver more efficient, integrated, and sustainable connectivity in the Horn of Africa. The DESU corridor will link the port of Djibouti to landlocked South Sudan and Uganda via Ethiopia, improving access to global markets. The new authority will oversee planning, investment, and operations with a mandate to cut transit times and costs through digital and smart logistics systems. Finally, on News Now, at the opening session of the 2026 International Energy Agency Energy Innovation Forum in Paris, attention is on scaling up clean energy technologies. The summit brings together global energy leaders to discuss innovation, investment, and strategies to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy solutions. Here are excerpts.
We are very proud. We have the data on many, many things, and one of them is the technology. We are following over 600 technologies, technology by technology. What is the maturity level? How much investment goes? Where are they happening? And what are the policies pushing those technologies? And it is one of the basis of our annual work on energy technology perspectives. But technological breakthroughs don't happen just like that. Somebody clever comes and comes up with idea, a genius person. There may be genius persons, but the genius person to work, we need stability, political stability for the investors, for the researchers, for the startups. And countries who provide the stability and the technological innovation made very, very good results. I want to give you one, in my view, for my European friends and colleagues, rather bitter example. First of all, I should say that in the year 2025, when we look at all the power plants installed in 2025, close to 2/3 are solar panels. This is a data, this is a number. And these solar panels, more than 80% of the solar panels are manufactured in one single country, China. Because China manufactures a lot of solar panels and brings the cost down. We are very...
I am Melissa Enoch, and that's it on News Now this Wednesday. The show returns shortly with Grace at the FMDQ Archives Room with our market updates.
Today, Your Excellency, we are opening the doors to the Kenyan capital markets to millions of Kenyans, empowering them to engage, invest, and grow their wealth through a simple, secure, and innovative platform incorporated on the M-Pesa platform. By bringing over 30 million Kenyans, predominantly youth and women, we are expanding participation, deepening financial inclusion, and embedding a strong investment culture within our economy. Your Excellency, on behalf of all capital market stakeholders, we express our deep gratitude to your government for the sustained macroeconomic reforms that your government continues to implement. These reforms send a clear message and a signal of policy discipline, stability, and long-term economic vision, all of which are fundamental towards establishing credible capital markets. We wish to reflect that this market is a barometer of overall economic performance, and so far the reaction by both the local investing community and the international community speaks for itself. The numbers are clear, and we've been able to brief you in the holding room of the progress that we have made. Market activity, valuations, and investor participation provide a clear testament that both local and international investors are expressing renewed confidence in Kenya. We're going to stop foreign funding for the purchase of our cocoa. We are going to raise domestic bonds. We have enough CDs in Ghana to pay for our cocoa. We're going to raise domestic bonds, buy our own cocoa. We don't need to collateralize the beans. I know the interesting part. We have the capacity to process 400,000 tons of those beans, processing capacity in Ghana. But because the beans are collateralized, we cannot even allocate those beans to the local processors. We have to ship all the beans outside. Now, if we buy the beans ourselves, we can take 400,000 tons out of the beans and give to our local processors to add value. That is what the Accra research is about. I say by 2030, there are not going to be any raw mineral ores leaving Ghana. You're not going to ship manganese ores out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship bauxite ore out of Ghana raw. You're not going to ship iron ore out of Ghana raw. You must process all that locally. That is the only way we can provide opportunities for our young people.
Welcome back to Money Moves. Let's now go over to Grace for today's market report. Hello there again, Grace.
Hi, Melissa. Let's now track how the markets traded today across the continent, beginning with equities. The Nigerian Stock Exchange rose 0.56% to 190,478.57, while the BRVM in Abidjan added 0.39%. The Nairobi Securities Exchange slipped 0.33% to 214.34. In South Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange climbed 1.87%, and in North Africa, EGX30 gained 0.75%, while Morocco's MASI eased 0.19%. Let's do a quick round of some of the Pan-African currencies. The rand dipped 0.06% to 16.02 against the US dollar. The Egyptian pound firmed 0.26%, while the CFA franc edged up 0.09%. The Kenyan shilling held steady at 128.99. The Moroccan dirham ticked up 0.04% to 9.14, while the naira weakened 0.41% to 1,338 naira. It's 2 kobo as at 13:22 GMT. Let's switch into the commodities data deck, beginning with energy prices. Brent crude surged 2.79% to $69.30, while US WTI jumped 2.82% to $64.09. Natural gas fell 1.95%, and RBOB gasoline rose 2.21% to $1.95 as at 13:11 GMT. Finally, to soft prices. Cocoa dropped 5.57%, while coffee fell 0.74% to $281. Cotton gained 0.41%, palm oil eased slightly 0.05%, and sugar rose 0.74% to $13.58 as at 13:16 GMT. And that's our Money Moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you for those market updates. And that's it on today's edition of Money Moves. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all same time tomorrow.